The male compound effect. It literally is the reason why you can be that version of yourself, the highest level version of yourself, by literally doing exactly what you are today. But the question is, what are you doing today, right? Are you setting yourself up to say, okay, tomorrow it's going to be me with this much level of skill, and tomorrow I'm going to be 1% better, and then 1% better, and then that much better, and then that much better. And then long term, right, that exponentially grows like crazy. And the reason I'm talking about it from a male perspective is because when you're born, generally speaking, right, they say, men have no value. We have to create the value. We have to produce to show our worth, right? That's what they say. Whereas when you look at women, right, it's basically, hey, you're able to create babies. You come with value. You look a certain way, right? And with a man, it's kind of like, okay, think about it, right? If you tell a 30, 35-year-old guy, hey, take this 12-year-old to go, fight in the army. Like, that's great. Maybe you have a body, right? But you don't have a person who maybe is able to go through the scars, let alone have enough muscle, right, in that puberty year, right? So fast forward, it's pretty much saying like, hey, if you want something, you can get it. But the question is, understand where you are basically in the timeline of life. For me, I was working on different skills, as probably yourself, right? So even outside of, let's say, going to school or kind of normal things that, let's say, everyone does, you're talking about maybe some people level up in video games, some people level up in ultimate frisbee, some people have different hobbies, right? Different things that they're doing, or maybe it is pure, hey, let's make money, and different ways to figure out how to make money. And so I'll use that example because I've always been, a side hustler, you could say, from a young age. And, side hustles can become main hustles. And then, you have another side hustle that, you keep on growing, keep on going. And so ages, let's say 0 to 18, right? Even 0 to 16. That age, basically, you're kind of just following someone else's schedule, right? You're kind of a sheep in the system of going to school and all these things. Now, obviously, and hopefully, you're learning some skills, right? That will help you for the latter part of your life. But if you look at, okay, now you're 18, right? So 18 to, let's say you're, maybe if you go to college, maybe if you're working, maybe no college, you're kind of like figuring out like, okay, I'm in the real world, I'm legal to work, I'm happy and wanting to make money, I want this and that and the other, right? You're basically now working at that starting point for maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So let's say, 5 to 7 years go by. Now we're talking like 25, right? So what happened is, okay, how long were you actually in the battlefield? Yeah, maybe you're 25, but really it's like 5 years of experience, right? And just like anything in life, if you want to get better at something, you just kind of practice doing it and keep on going, keep on going. So there's probably childhood habits that you may have that you're exceptionally good at because you've been doing it aimlessly for so many years. Whereas if you have a focus, right, or honing in skills for something in a long stretch of time, right, it's so crazy, right? Where like if you have something like that, like you can see it in my face, where basically going from, okay, this is 5 years of experience, right? And then you go, let's say, to 30, that's 10 years of experience, right? But this compounding, right, is basically, let's say in the beginning, generally speaking for most people, you're not going to see, let's say, instant success. It is possible, but it's not instant, right? So you have kind of this, I'm seeing some, learning, some results, and then you're kind of like down, and maybe learning results and like potentially down, right? Or you learn something from one business, then you put it into another, but then you realize, in business number 3, it actually takes skills from both 1 and 2, and it kind of, it's compounding because of just the obvious nature of you learning more. But usually it's kind of like you keep going, you keep going, you keep going, and then it's just, no one can take away the level of compounding. And if you want to get back up there, you also can because of all the iterations and foundational learning that you put in. So if you think about like bodybuilding, right? Like I started working out more recently, and I'll probably show my gains, sometime in a future video. But I didn't look like this. I looked 50 pounds heavier not too long ago. But what I didn't realize I was doing is I was walking so long during my years of 18 to 22, like 7 miles a day kind of thing. And, just like reasons of just getting from place to place. And more than that, I didn't realize, but the minimal gym work that I did, right, kind of gave the underneath, right, my genes slash like my body composition, it kind of remembers like, hey, like this is what's going on, right? Like, oh, we're getting back to that size. So I didn't realize I was more fit, I was healthier and all those things. And so one more time, we're getting there. But the point is, if I was losing weight for the first time in my life, the difference would be maybe I see, the same results, right? But the oomph factor, right? The amount of just soul-sucking energy or hatred or thinking like, oh, how can people work out? It's so like it hurts, it's annoying. It's because it's all that old brain of the comfort brain, right? Saying like, I don't want to do this. But when you have reps and momentum, right, in so many different perspectives, the fast forward result is that you literally have that compound effect because you have the ability to say, hey, I did one thing and I know how that one thing, what you need to do to get to the optimal version of, that level of whatever you're doing, right? You know that framework to go from point A to point B, and that to how to save time along the way, how to cause you less grief, how to maybe save time, save money, right? Maybe you can help people along the way. Maybe you need to have people involved for your goal, whatever that is. So all of these lessons, right? It's basically the compound effect to say, okay, if you have good habits along the way, you can maintain your health into your, teens, 20s, into your 30s. And now, even from a money perspective, what happens? You've been having this skill, let's say in my case of like trying to earn money and do it a bunch of different ways, but then you realize like, oh, wait a second, like it's, through all of these paths, I know what not to do, which is a lot of the equation of don't waste your time doing this, don't waste your time doing that, concentrate here, look over here, oh, look at that angle. Think about, fast forward if you're trying to do something, right? It's all interconnected and it all comes through trial and error. And that's really just the name of the game. It's very straight to the point. So the male compound effect is really to remind you as the individual that, hey, whatever you're doing, whatever reps you're putting in, they are meaning something. And it's not one of those like therapy, like, oh, I feel good, like pity party. Like, no, it's you saying, are you also doing the level of work that you need to do, right, to be considered a repetition of what you're doing, right? Is it actually a rep? So when I was going to the gym, one of the things I didn't realize is I was like, okay, I'm lifting these things, right? I'm lifting the same weight, let's say 20 times. But your body knows how to do that. I wasn't like extrained, if that's a word, right? I wasn't basically pushed to my limits. But they say, hey, do your max rep to really push yourself so your body knows, hey, my muscles are ripping, they're breaking, whatever, right? In the sense that, okay, we need to get stronger because like this happened and this guy's gonna probably do it again. So let's get these biceps stronger, right? So all of that said, it's all about compounding. You can look at it from a financial perspective, health perspective, and even relationships. It's all compounding in life. The male compound effect is nothing but you can have all of these things in what's called a male advantage later part in your life where you have wealth, you have health, and you can maintain relationships, have them, do what you want, right? So that's the whole goal here. Similar to compounding, this last part of this video is sponsored by me, where basically I want to tell us about an opportunity. It is an investment opportunity, and I'm an investor where from the stock market to the cryptocurrencies market, real estate is the bread and butter. So simply put, you don't need to be an accredited investor. Investments are from 15 mil to 3 mil. The project is a 250 room hotel. So we're aiming for 5-star status. Of course, we can't guarantee it until it's open. Construction has started. And if you want to be a part, let's say if there's land, right? In this case, you're not looking at just land that's then developed. You're looking at it being a commercial real estate property. So if you ever want to invest in like a Marriott, Hilton, IHG, Wyndham, all these type of hotels, you can't just do it like by calling up someone. You can invest in the market, but it's not the same thing. Where here, in your name, you own the property, whether it's a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and real physical land, so you can sell it, right? And there's appreciation. You're talking like 2-3x, and I don't want to guarantee anything in this video, but you also get operating cash flow. So not just when the project's open, there's a way to get it in the next 2 to 3 years when this construction is happening. You can still get it within that same time frame. So you're not just putting money waiting, you're actually getting paid for having that money just quote unquote sit there. And then there's that much more after the fact. So all the details, happy to share anything you want to know. Thanks for coming to the end. You know how it is. Like, share, subscribe, link in the description below. Talk to you soon. And if you want to get in touch about anything else, I'm here for us. See you in the next one. Peace.